Hello, my name is Gopi, and I will be presenting some highlights from our DIS 2020 paper titled Prototypes as Objects of Desire that I co-authored with Susanne Bødker. This paper is an epistemological inquiry on how prototypes are used as instruments of knowledge for HCI research as opposed to design. More specifically, this is about research involving people working in common around interactive objects. Our work presents a complementary perspective to the anatomy of prototypes paper that is cited here. Our main research question is, how do prototypes inform HCI research involving people who work in common around interactive objects? The rest of this presentation is structured into two parts as shown here. The first part is what are prototypes for and how else can we think about prototypes. The first part is with respect to research and is not an anatomy but a process. The second part where we discuss about prototypes as objects of desire. Now this work is done as a part of the CIO project that aims to empower users to better understand and develop the technologies they use. In this project, we explore how to construct and configure physical and virtual environments together over time and within communities. You can read more about the project in the URL specified here. Now let's talk about the various ways prototypes come into being in research processes. In our paper, we engage with existing literature and offer critical commentary on scoped themes discussing the role of prototypes as instruments of knowledge for HCI research. Let us look at two such roles in here. The first one is prototypes as research instruments. Prototypes as research instruments introduced a shared structured procedure for making observations and claiming inferences among a group of people because they provide objects that can be tangibly explored by different people who work together. Now they become intermediate level knowledge artifacts. When we say intermediate level, what we mean is that they are more than a specific instantiation of an idea, but they are also not high theory. So they are abstracted to the level which is beyond the specific instantiation. In research projects, prototypes actually act as working capital for evolving processes and research questions. And finally, they can be used as disruptive evidence to question, provoke, and reorder existing research framings. Next, let us look at prototypes as epistemic objects. Epistemic objects can be said to embody what one does not yet know. In this way, if we think about it, then prototypes kind of become open-ended. They invite participation and generate interest in a group of participants. In our paper, we talk about how more research is required on how prototypes operate as the engines of solidarity among groups. You can read more about this in the Nicolini paper, which is cited here. Nicolini talks about epistemic objects, which is actually borrowed from Norsetina's idea of epistemic objects. Now we move to the second part of this presentation, where I talk about prototypes as objects of desire. In our paper, we illustrate our conceptual thinking in detail by talking about two empirical case studies, caseline and local area artwork. Both of these involve people who work in common around interactive objects. So why desire? We argue that the language of desire is more apt to talk about prototypes and prototyping in HCI research. Design based HCI research introduces deliberate causality, which means that there is an intentional and invested change to the existing state of affairs. HCI researchers also envision and design for desirable futures. So, talking about desires is intended to provoke claims about neutrality in research and also to foreground power relationships while we are developing technologies with users. Talking about users' desires helps us also to think about more than user needs and requirements. So, specifically, talking about desires can allow researchers to uh, understand uh, more than the individual needs and desires. They manifest shared visions that can be scrutinized and negotiated together in a group. Prototypes also allow juxtaposing multiple visions, which then can allow critical reflection about what is it that we want to choose for our future. So prototypes act as objects of desire in research by invoking familiarity with past technology mediated practices. But at the same time, they also pique curiosity about possibilities for shared futures. So prototypes kind of play this dual role of invoking familiarity with the past while also piquing curiosity about the future. In our paper, we present four seeding dynamics that explore how prototypes inform current practices and make it possible to explore together what is yet to be known as the future. So while we are building prototypes, you're always sort of having this unknown aspect of future that is that draws attention and invites participation from people who work together in a group. These we call as seeding dynamics, and these are dynamic and not similar to the it is complementary to the anatomy of prototypes. Now we illustrate four different dynamics in our paper. These are research process dynamics, use dynamics, the spatio-temporal dynamics, and the boundary dynamics. Now we illustrate these four seeding dynamics by analyzing the two empirical cases to understand how desire unfolds and informs possible futures through prototypes. The research process dynamics, we explore the research settings, processes involved, and epistemic orientation to better understand how prototypes are developed and the context of their development as instruments of knowledge for research. In the use dynamics, we focus on user activities, behaviors of use over time, context, motivation, and interactions with others through prototypes. In the spatio-temporal dynamics, we look at how specifically prototypes are situated and shape specific spatial arrangements and temporal orderings that people agree upon within a specific group. Under the theme of boundary dynamics, we study how prototypes are used to create, contest, negotiate, maintain various boundaries in the context of their use, and as instruments of knowledge in research. If you're interested to know more, please read the full paper from the ACM Library DIS 2020 proceedings. Thank you for watching.